So today we're going to talk about ratios and proportions. So a ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. So every fraction is considered a ratio. These are three ways to write ratios. We can either write them x to y. We can do x with a, does anybody know what that symbol is called? Colon. X colon y, and then x over y. And so that's what a ratio is. And so then we have a proportion, and a proportion is an equation that states that two ratios are equal. I love proportions, okay, because they're easy to solve pretty much, and I'm going to show you a nifty way to do that. And so if I look at this, I need to determine whether each pair of ratios are equivalent. So this is what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a way that will work when we not only want to see if they're equivalent, but when we want to see which one is greater. And I'm going to use something known as the cross products. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here, and I'm going to take 24 times 2. What is 24 times 2? 48. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to take 3 times 16. What is 3 times 16? 48. Are those two numbers equal?
Yes.
Yes. So since those two numbers are equal, these fractions are in fact equal. Okay, so I multiply cross products. Start in the lower right, multiply around. Start in the lower left, multiply around. So let's try this. Are those two ratios equal? Yes or no? So you might have to do some calculations. It might not be something that you can just look at and instantly say this is the solution. So, no. Okay, so let's figure out cross products again. What was this cross product going to be?
30.
30. What's this cross product?
20.
20. So that is why they are not equal. Okay, let's try another one. Are those equal? Yes or no?
Brady.
9. Good job. So when I do the cross products there, I get 30 to equal 30. Good job. And so now what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about what are known as the means and the extremes, and that's pretty much what we just got done doing. Okay, the first thing that I multiplied is known as the means, A and D. Okay, so this is known as the means. The extremes, on the other hand, are known as B and C. Okay, and then we have what are known as our cross products. Our cross products were what we did first, AD and BC. And so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to solve equations here. It says use cross products to determine whether each pair of ratios forms a proportion. So same thing again. 14 times 2, what do I get? 28. Next cross product, the extremes. What's 8 times 3.5? 28, yep.
48 point.
So that in fact does form a proportion. That would be yes. So with that in mind, I want you to tell me, do those form a proportion? Yes or no?
No, can't do it in my head.
Play dirty.
I'm a hero.
Dirty, calculate.
For later half.
That was the first one up there.
Hey, I just asked. I said no bragging.
It's not that hard because you know that 3 times 2 is a 6.
Yep.
And 15 times 5 is nowhere 6.
7.
So you know.
15 times 5.
I knew that too.
Okay, so let's go and see how we did. No, nice job.
Yes.
You should have gotten the product of your means to be 0.6. And you should have gotten the product of the extremes to be what? 0.75. Okay. So let's go and look at this one. Are those equal?
I probably got it wrong.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
No.
Okay, this is a tricky one, guys. And this is why it was tricky. Okay, because the answer is actually no. And the reason is because when I multiply 0.2 and 0.9, I get 0.18. Okay, when I multiply 1.8 and 1, I get 1.8. So the difference was with the decimal places. So, all right, so solve each proportion. So now along the same line, it says, if necessary, round to the nearest hundredth. So what we're going to do is cross products again. Okay, we like cross products. So x times 5 is 5x equals 30. See how easy that was with the cross products?
Yep.
And so then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 5. So what does x equal? 6. Okay, not too bad. All right, so now we're going to do cross products again. Now this one I'm not going to let you use the expressions on because notice the difference. I've got a quantity here. Okay, now when I take the product of the means, I take 7 times what?
X minus 2.
X minus 2, and what will that equal?
7.
Oh, wrong one. I
That.
want to hit that one. Undo that one just a second,
Close your eyes.
There we go. I need to click here. I had it. There we go. So I'm going to take 7 times x minus 2, and that's going to equal 14 times 2. So now what do you have to do with the 7? Distribute. So I'm going to distribute the 7. So when I distribute that 7, I get 7x minus 14, which is what you said, and that's going to equal 28. What do you do now?
Add 14.
Add 14.
Add 14.
So I get 7x to equal, when I add those together,
42.
42. To solve, I'm now going to go ahead and divide both sides by 7. And what do you get x to equal?
6.
6. So remember, you're going to need to distribute that 7 to both the x and the 2. Okay, your turn. Here you go. You're going to need to have to distribute. Okay, find a sheet of scratch paper. You're probably not going to be able to do this in your head. Because that was the 12 times 3. It's the same as this one right here. These two. That's where the 14 times 2 came in. So do this first, and then this next.
Okay.
So you write down what that one should be, and I'll tell you whether or not you can continue to solve that. I want you to answer, if you need to, you might need to answer in decimal form on these. Don't forget your A.
Yes, top, middle, bottom.
Yes.
Okay, but do you do this now? Okay.
Huh? I just wrote it there.
It's 8x plus 1.
Singapore.
We use decimal.
Stop shutting off this version.
Wait, that's like,
That's one restaurant for every 40,000 people.
yeah, but you know how many people are probably in Singapore, probably? Look at the US. How many of those are fat food restaurants? Switzerland put a tax on fat foods. If food has point or over like 2%, they get fat, you have to pay like extra tax on it.
2%.
I don't know.
Trying to make it.
I can't remember.
McDonald's
It was
is gonna have to pay like.
It was like 0.2, sure, I don't know, but anyways, something with 2, and fat, the saturated fat, if it has more than that, you have to pay a tax on it. They're trying to stop obesity.
Well, they don't
Switzerland.
When people buy it, they don't get the tax money.
Okay, so let's go ahead and see what we ended up getting. Let's see how we did.
I was the last one.
Yes, I
0.5, nice job, majority of you got that. So let's go ahead and kind of walk through that real quick. I'm going to take 8 times x plus 4. That's going to be my first step. And then that will equal 12 times 3. So now what I'm going to need to do is distribute that 8. So when I distribute that 8, I get 8x plus 32. equals 36.
I had already.
Next step, I'm gonna need to subtract 32. So when I subtract 32, I get 8x to equal 4. Next step is to go ahead and divide both sides by 8. And when I divide both sides by 8, I get x to equal 1/2, which we know is equivalent to 0.5. So that's where the 0.5 comes in. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this one. It takes 7 minutes for Izzy to walk around the gym track. At this rate, how many times can she walk around the track in a half hour? So we're gonna go ahead and write a proportion. My proportion, in this case, is gonna be laps divided by time. Now the time here, I'm gonna put in minutes. So let's write a proportion from the very first sentence. Okay, I know that she walks how many laps? One lap in how many minutes? 7. So there's your proportion. That's going to equal, let's look at the question. At this rate, how many times can she walk around the track in a half hour?
X over 30.
Okay, I don't know how many laps, so I'm going to call that x, and I'm going to put this as over 30. So now to solve that, let's multiply our means. What do I get from our means? 30 equals 7x. Nice job. Let's go ahead and divide both sides by 7. Okay, so what is 30 divided by 7?
28 and 2 sevens.
Mhm.
28 and
No.
2.
Not 28 and 2.
Oh,
4 and
4
2
and 2
4 and 2 sevens, which comes out to be like 4.28.
28.
So now let's look at the question and make sure we answer it correctly, because that's our important thing. At this rate, how many times can she walk around the track in a half hour? 4 laps. We don't put 0.28 of a lap. Okay, we just answer that as 4 laps.
She had to go to bed.
So let's go ahead and look at another one real quick. On a model airplane, and this is what's done quite a bit, when they make scale figures, okay, of things, they actually measure everything. It says on a model airplane, the scale is 5 centimeters, and that equals 2 meters. If the model's wingspan is 28.5 centimeters, what is the actual wingspan? So our proportion, I'm going to put centimeters over meters. Could I put meters over centimeters? It'd still be okay? Yeah. Okay, it doesn't matter. So in this case, I just need to make sure that in this case I put the 5 over 2. And that's going to equal, where does the 28.5 go? On the top or the bottom?
The top.
The top, because it is centimeters. Okay. On the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and call that x. I could call that anything though. Let's multiply cross products. And you know what? I want you to finish that one for me. So what is the actual wingspan? You tell me what the actual wingspan is. Now, I don't have a number coded in here, so it's not going to come up green for the answer.
Do you want us to label?
No.
How can we contain?
Can't label them.
Nope. Oh, you can. I don't have it on text.
Oh,
I thought it right. So let's see how we did. And the correct
Yes.
answer is actually 11.4. Nice job. So where that comes in, when you cross multiply, you end up getting 5x to equal 57. Then what I need to do is divide both sides by 5. And when I do that, I should get x to equal 11.4. So your actual answer would be 11.4 meters. You could either write out the word meters or abbreviate it with an M. So questions on that, proportions.
How do you decide like if it's centimeters over meters or anything like that?
It doesn't matter. You could have put meters over centimeters and still gotten the same. If we would have done meters over centimeters, it would have been 2 over 5 equals x over 28.5. And it won't matter because you'll still get the exact same thing, and that's a very good question. Any other things? For tomorrow, there you go. Page 115, 10 through 42, the evens. 10 through 42, the evens, page 115.